What if I told you there are classic Mustangs out there that can sell for more than a brand new Lamborghini Huracan? And we're not talking about trailer queens gathering dust, we're talking track-bred monsters, one-off prototypes and legends reborn that make million-dollar exotics look like yesterday's news. These are the Mustangs that turned rust into gold, proving once and for all that true American muscle never goes out of style. From dusty barns to million-dollar auction floors, the Mustang has survived more than just the passage of time. It's outlasted rivals, humbled exotic supercars, and reinvented itself over decades. Some of these rare ponies are now worth more than 2 Lamborghinis side by side. Not bad for Detroit iron once thrashed at stoplights and drag strips every weekend. What makes these Mustangs truly legendary isn't just raw horsepower. It's the wild experiment, secret prototype, outlaw drag build, and improbable survival stories that turn them into blue-chip collector icons. Today we're counting down the top 8 Mustangs that went from gritty street brawlers to priceless garage queens. Buckle up, cause once you hear what's still hiding out there, you'll never look at the Mustang the same way again. Top 1. 1965 Shelby GT 350R 5R2 Ken Miles Mule. Before Shelby's Mustangs were terrorizing SCCA grids nationwide, there was one test mule that changed everything. The one Ken Miles flogged until it flew. They called it 5R2, but the world knows it better as the Flying Mustang, that's now worth more than most Lamborghinis combined. In early 1965, Carroll Shelby's shop was scrambling to turn the humble Mustang into a fire-breathing track monster. They took a pre-production GT 350 fastback, chassis 5R2, stripped it bare, welded in a roll bar, swapped the glass for plexiglass, and dropped in a massaged high-pot 28.9 V8 pumping out nearly 360 horsepower. From the outside, it wore Wimbledon white paint with iconic blue Le Mans stripes, flared fenders for wider slicks, and those signature side-exected exhausts that barked like a pack of hounds. Inside, it was all business. Racing bucket, giant sun tack, no frills, no compromise. Weighing under 2,800 pounds, it could rip 0 to 60 in about 5.5 seconds, fast enough to humiliate bigger cars twice its price. Ken Miles made this car a legend. At Green Valley Raceway, Texas, photographers snapped the moment 5R2 caught air, all 4 wheels off the ground, immortalizing it as the Flying Mustang. But back then, no one knew it would become the holy grail for collectors. Shelby sold it like any other race car. Decades later, historians traced its VIN in racing history, restoring it to original spec. When it finally hit auction, 5R2 blew minds, pulling in over $3,800,000. But if you think the Flying Mustang is wild, wait till you meet the only Shelby so fast Carroll Shelby himself pulled the plug. Top to 1967 Shelby GT 500 Super Snake. Some Shelbys were born to win races, but the 1967 GT 500 Super Snake was built to obliterate every limit. Imagine a Mustang so fast that even Carroll Shelby himself said, "Nope, that's too much." One prototype survived, and today it's worth more than a modern Lamborghini by a mile. In '67, Goodyear asked Carroll Shelby to prove their new Thunderbolt tires could handle triple-digit speeds. So Shelby's answer was pure insanity. Take a standard GT 500, rip out the Police Interceptor V8, and wedge in a full-black destructor side oiler from the Le Mans winning Ford GT40. The result? A street Mustang packing around 520 horsepower, some say closer to 600, mated to a top-over 4-speed and a Detroit locker rear end with 4.1 gears. From the outside, the Wimbledon white paint and twin blue stripes looked stock, but under that functional scooped hood lurked street wildest experiment. Inside, it was raw, wood rim wheel, Stewart Warner gauges, racing belts, no creature comforts, just pure adrenaline. When Shelby test drove it, the Super Snake ripped past 170 miles per hour on a closed track, and he knew no regular buyer could handle that. Shelby planned to build 50, but the cost was so outrageous that no buyer stepped up. The lone prototype was parked, swapped owners, and nearly forgotten while regular GT 500S made history on the street and strip. Years later, the single surviving Super Snake stunned the collector world by hammering for over $2,200,000 auction. Today, it's the ultimate what if. Shelby, the car that proved the Mustang could have been America's fastest street rocket if only they dared. But if you think a one-off tire-melting Shelby is rare, wait till you see the next Mustang. The secret prototype that went missing for decades before roaring back to life? Little Red is up next. Top 3 1967 Shelby GT500 Little Red XP prototype. Some Mustangs never should have survived. Little Red, retreating the 1967 Shelby GT500 EXP prototype, was one of those cars that Ford ordered crushed. Instead, it vanished into the Texas dust. Back in 1967, Carroll Shelby wanted to test out new design and performance ideas for the GT500 lineup, so his team took a notchback Mustang Coupe body style that never officially became a Shelby and turned it into a rolling laboratory. Under the candy apple red paint and custom fiberglass scoops, Little Red hit a factory 428 Police Interceptor big block. But Shelby being Shelby, they didn't stop there. They bolted on twin Paxton superchargers, pushing the output well past 500 horsepower. That was enough grunt to roast its big white letter tires on command. On the outside, it sported Thunderbird taillights, a custom nose, and early design cues that hinted at what future GT500s would look like. Inside, the prototype was pure Shelby mischief. Unique gauges, toggle switches for the blowers, and a big tack daring you to mash the throttle. When its test mule days were over, Little Red was marked for the crusher like most experimental cars. But somehow, a Ford exec stuck it off the books. For decades, people thought it was gone forever, until it was rediscovered half-sus on a Texas ranch, nearly intact and still hiding its twin supercharged heart. Today, Little Red is the only redback Shelby GT500 ever made, and the only twin supercharged prototype of its kind. Its restoration made global headlines, and it's now insured for well over $3 million, easily outvaluing plenty of raging bulls from Italy. But if you think Little Red is the only redball Shelby to break the mold, wait until you see the next one. A GT350 street car so early and so clean that collectors will fight tooth and nail to park it next to their $1 million Super Snakes. Top 4 1967 Shelby GT500 Eleanor Hero Car. Some Mustangs are built to win races. This one was built to steal scenes. The 1967 Shelby GT500 Eleanor Hero Car didn't just dominate the silver screen. It single-handedly turned the GT500 name into a pop culture icon worth more than most Italian exhaust. When producers shot the 2000 remake of Gone in 60 Seconds, they needed a hero car that looked mean enough to make Nicolas Cage look like a car god. So they started with 1967 Mustang fastbacks and transformed them with Shelby GT500 touches, flared fenders, functional side scoops, a custom nose, PIA AA lights, and that iconic pepper gray metallic paint. In total, 11 Eleanor cars were built for the film, but only 3 true hero cars had full detail, custom fiberglass body kits, working NOS bottles, side exhausts, racing-style gauges, and beefed-up suspension for stunt shots. Under the hood sat a snarling 351 V8, making around 400 expert. Another roast tires for real chase scene. 0 to 60? A solid 5.7 seconds. But in Hollywood, looking fast was all that mattered. Inside, these hero cars had that signature nitrous switch, custom buckets, roll cages, and trick billet steering wheel that made moviegoers dream of their own getaway. Most Eleanorers didn't survive production. Stunt crashes and heavy filming left many shell, but the surviving hero cars gained mythical status. One even resurfaced at Barrett-Jackson and McCune, with proving it was a real on-camera star. Today, a documented Eleanor hero car can smash the $1 million mark at auction, outpricing brand-new Lamborghinis. For many fans, it's the ultimate mix of Hollywood and Shelby legend, a piece of movie history that outran its script. But if you think a movie Mustang is wild, wait until you meet the raw A/S camera that turned Ford's drag dreams into wheel-standing reality. Top 5 1965 Mustang A/FX 427 to SOHC camera drag car. Forget the street. In 1965, Ford declared war on the drag strip, and this Mustang was its secret weapon. The Mustang A/FX 427 SOHC camera wasn't just fast. It was so savage that the NHRA had to rewrite the rulebook to tame it. To take on Chrysler's unstoppable 426 Hemis in superstock, Ford dropped its most radical motor of the legendary 427 single overhead camera into a handful of ultra-lightweight 1965 Mustang fastback. This beast pumped out a mind-bending 615 horsepower, spinning to 7,000 RPM while the competition was choking at 6,000. Only about 10 to 12 true A/FX Camry Mustangs were built, each one a backdoor factory freak, stripped down with fiberglass panels, acid-dipped bodies, row-loaded front suspensions and straight axle setups for weight transfer. From the outside, they looked like Mustangs on steroids, stretched wheelbase of massive hood spoops and wild headers poking through the fenders. Inside, these brutes were pure function. One bucket seat, roll cage, racing harness, and a monster tack ready to hit the moon. 0 to 60? A joke. These cars blasted the quarter-mile in the mid-10s, when that was science fiction for a factory pony. Their dominance was so absurd that the NHRA quickly changed class rules, banning the camera combo from stock categories. Many racers got creative, match racing them on barnstorming tours across the country. Pure outlaw style. Today, finding an authentic 65 Mustang A/FX427 sold for 7 SOHC is nearly impossible. When one pops up, its auction value rockets well into 7 figures, more than enough to humble a modern Lamborghini. But if you think this drag monster was too extreme, wait till you see the Boss that proved the Trans Am wasn't just about corners, it was about crushing rivals with small block style. Top 6 1969 Mustang Boss 322 Trans Am factory race car. Forget fancy stripes. This was the Mustang that earned its stripes on the SCCA Trans Am circuit. The 1969 Mustang Boss 302 Trans Am factory race car turned road course racing upside down and cemented the Boss name as a Ford icon that today sells for more than some new supercars. In the late 60s, Ford desperately wanted to crush Chevy's Camaro Z/28 dominance in the Trans Am series. Their secret weapon? The Boss 302. A purpose-built small-block screamer with Cleveland heads on a Windsor block, designed for sky-high revs and corner-carving agility. Only 7 factory-backed 1969 Boss 302 Trans Am race cars were built for the Bud Moore team and a handful of trusted privateers. These weren't showroom toys. They were full-on homologation specials. Acid duct panels, seam sealers scraped away, plexiglass windows, roll cages, and lightweight fiberglass body parts shaved them down to battle weight. Under the hood, the race-prepped 302 V8 pumped out over 450 horsepower, spilling up to 8,000 RPM, numbers unheard of for small blocks then. 0 to 60, under 5 seconds if the tires stuck. Inside, it was Spartan. Just a single racing seat, 5-point harness, a huge sun tack, and aluminum switch panels. The Boss 32T/A cars proved their worth immediately, clawing at the Camaros and Firebirds with a mix of raw speed and insane handling. Some survived brutal seasons of wrestling, while others were rebodied or banished when the Trans Am wars fizzled. Today, an authentic 69 Boss 302 Trans Am with documented race history can clear $1 million plus at auction. A testament to Ford's underdog fight and a legacy that puts many modern supercars to shame. But if you think a screaming Trans Am Boss was wild, wait until you see the humble GT350 street version that quietly became a $1 million sleeper. Top 7 in 1965 Shelby GT300 street version early production. Most Shelbys were built to race, but the 1965 Shelby GT350 street version flipped the script. A stripped-down pony that took SCCA DNA and slipped it onto Main Street. Decade later, these early production cars now outshine even modern exhaustics at auction. In 1965, Carroll Shelby and his crew at Venice took 562 Wimbledon white K-Code fastbacks off Ford's assembly line. Outside, the early GT350S looked almost identical to the R models. Bold blue Le Mans stripes, functional hood scoops, side exhausts that barked like a pit bull, and iconic GT350 rocker stripe. The steel wheels, competition tires, and racing-style quick-fill fuel cap screamed Weekend Warrior. Under the scooped hood, Ford's high-pot 289 V8, tuned up to 306 horsepower, thanks to a Cobra aluminum intake and headers. At under 2,900 pounds, 0 to 60 came in about 5.7 seconds, faster than many big block muscle cars twice its size. Inside, it was sparse, a simple dash with Stewart Warner gauges, racing lap belts, and a wood-rimmed Cobra steering wheel. No back seat, just carpeted panels where groceries should have gone. Many buyers didn't treat these early GT350S gently. Some got road raced, street raced, or chopped up for drag duty when bigger blocks became trendy. Survivors with matching numbers and original colors are now unicorn. Today, an early production 65 GT350 street version in concourse condition can command over $500,000, $750,000, easily eclipsing a new Lamborghini in price. Living proof that Shelby magic holds strong. If you think a tame street Shelby is pricey, wait until you see the tiny Mustang Shorty that was so weird Ford buried it for decades, only for it to become a priceless prototype. Top 8 1965 Mustang Shorty 2-seater prototype. How do you take America's favorite pony car and twist it into something so radical Ford had to hide it away for decades? You start by chopping nearly 2 feet out of its wheelbase, ditching the back seat entirely, and reimagining the Mustang as a 2-seater sports coupe that looked more European Ferrari than Detroit Mustang. That's exactly what Ford and Vince Gardner did with the 1965 Mustang's Shorty 2-seater prototype. An experiment so strange it slipped through the cracks of history. In early 1964, just as the Mustang was about to become an instant sales phenomenon, Ford's Special Projects division asked designer Vince Gardner to think outside the box. He took a pre-production hardtop Mustang and carved 16 inches out of its body, shortening the chassis to create a nimble, aggressive stance. To match the proportions, Gardner reshaped the roofline into a custom fastback that gave Shorty its signature Shelby silhouette, part Mustang, part Corvette Stingray, part Italian GT. Up front, the entire nose was fabricated from hand-laid fiberglass, complete with hidden headlights, a unique grille, and a sharper, racier point. Out back, the rear glass was redesigned, the tail section reworked, and custom tail lights added to reinforce that it was no ordinary pony. Under the hood, Shorty still packed serious muscle, a 289 cubic inch high P8 good for about 271 horsepower, paired with a tough top-loader 4-speed. Thanks to its lighter weight, nearly 300 pounds under a stock Mustang coupe, it could do 0 to 60 in about 6.5 seconds fast for an experimental 2-seater in 1965. Inside, the prototype treatment continued. The rear seats were deleted altogether and replaced with a sculpted storage console that ran between the bucket seats, showing Ford was toying with GT touring vibes. The dash and interior trim were a blend of production bits and prototype tweaks, all handcrafted to sell the idea that the Mustang could go from boulevard bruiser to sports car killer. But the wildest part? This one-off was built purely for auto show buzz. It turned heads at car shows and in magazine features. Rudus Ford's brass realized a 2-seat Mustang risked cannibalizing sales of their big seller, so they pulled the plug and ordered Shorty to be destroyed. But instead of going to the crusher, it disappeared to keep it from being scrapped, and the car vanished into a warehouse for decades, hidden like a lost piece of muscle car folklore. Years later, Shorty resurfaced, dusty but intact. Pace directly restored, it became a crown jewel for prototype hunters and Mustang historians. Today, the only Shorty 2-seater in the world is insured for well over $500,000 0 cent, and some say it would fetch much more if it ever crossed an auction block. It stands as one of Ford's strangest experiments, proof they nearly rebranded the Mustang as an American GT sport car. Shorty reminds us that sometimes the Mustangs that shouldn't have existed are the ones we cherish most today. And who knows, if one prototype like this could hide for 50 years, what other forbidden ponies are still waiting to be found in a forgotten barn or dusty garage? And there you have it. 8 Mustangs that didn't just outrun the competition back in the day, they outran entire decades of supercar hype and came out the other side worth more than most Lamborghinis you see on Instagram. These ponies didn't just burn rubber. They wrote the rulebook for what happens when Detroit steel, outlaw racing, and a bit of Shelby madness collide. So which one would you sell everything for? Your Lambo, your daily driver, maybe even your house, just to park it in your dream garage? Drop your pick in the comments below. We want to hear your wildest collector fantasies, the ones that keep you up at night scrolling auction sites and wondering if there's still one hidden in a barn waiting for you to find. If you loved this deep dive into Mustang royalty, smash that like button, share this with your fellow gearhead, and subscribe to Muscle Cars Revolution. Around here,